Honourable Prime Minister, Minister for Economy, Honourable Leader of Opposition, Cabinet Ministers, Members of Parliament, very good morning to you all. I rise this morning to commend the 2016-2017 budget, a budget that I describe as a smart, decisive and inclusive national budget presented to this August House by the Honourable Minister for Economy. Madam Speaker, the Fijian government's commitment to building our communities to be better, safer and stronger is the underlying foundation for this budget. The budget provides funds for rebuilding homes and infrastructure devastated during TC Winston. Please allow me to refer to an information provided to the Honourable House this morning by Honourable Prasad, saying that people in Suva were assisted through this Helpful Home initiative. That information is not right. We had a centre in Suva to assist the people from the maritime areas, and to date, that centre at Fiji National Council for the Disabled Persons has assisted 3,119 recipients from the Eastern Division. That included Vanumbalavu, Lomaiviti Group, Resawa, Kamea and Edata. And a total of 6,375 recipients have already been assisted under these Helpful Home initiatives after TC Winston. Madam Speaker, the budget also provides funding for other affected areas during TC Winston, and that is to rehabilitate and improve damaged schools, health facilities, also looks into agricultural programs, funding to empower women and children, restoring affected SME programs, protecting senior citizens, mainstreaming people living with disabilities into the workforce, and of course promoting gender equality and equity. Madam Speaker, all of these budgeted programs work effectively to deliver real opportunities for sustainable development, alleviating poverty and promoting social mobility. Madam Speaker, the focus on resilience in this national budget will prepare us as Fijians for the challenges for the future. However strong the headwinds, this budget puts us on great course of achievements and reflects our government's vision to create and maintain a Fiji where anyone, if I must repeat, where anyone who aspires to can make a better life for themselves and their families. Madam Speaker, I'd also like to thank the Honourable Minister for Finance for the planning and the delivery of this 2016 and 2017 national budget. Included were a number of specific provisions to empower ordinary Fijians, and I was very happy to see that for the first time the budget address was televised with accompanying sign language interpretation, a very welcome step in making our budget more inclusive and participatory. Madam Speaker, the budget aims to broaden our economic base by creating more educational opportunities, expanding the labour sector, and particularly for our young people. Of course, Fijian women, children, the elderly, people living with disabilities will also benefit from the budget provisions and incentives. Madam Speaker, there are other initiatives in this budget that span a wide range of sectors as government has taken an integrated approach to advance the welfare of our Fijian women in the country. Whether it be through infrastructure development, building of new roads, hospitals, bridges, water, small to medium enterprises projects, these projects will have positive impacts for all Fijians, including, as I mentioned, women and of course children. I'm very much pleased to say that the budget reflects government's efforts to help Fiji meet the Millennium Development Goal 3, promoting gender equality and women empowerment, and Millennium Development Goal 1, eradicating extreme poverty and hunger, unquote. Madam Speaker, in the long term, this budget establishes a pathway to sustain economic growth and effective, responsive government services. This is a journey, Madam Speaker, we are determined to make together, leaving no Fijian behind, enabling families to meet their basic needs and constantly seeking out new challenges and opportunities. Madam Speaker, the measures taken by the Fijian government in this budget speaks on our government's effort to foster the growth of an inclusive and supportive society that makes every Fijian feel valued and appreciated. As my ministry is responsible for looking after the disadvantaged groups in Fiji, this budget is very reassuring. I am very much proud of this budget and believe its significance will be felt by many and for many years to come, especially for those which my ministry is mandated to serve. Madam Speaker, the Ministry's budget for this year is an increased allocation, and our allocation stands at 56 million for the portfolio of women, children and poverty alleviation. There has been a progressive increase in the ministry's budget allocation over the last 3 years. This brings to reality that the Fijian government promotes social safety, security nets for the marginalized people, while at the same time advocates self-reliance. In fact, Madam Speaker, we have received an overwhelming response from the people we serve and many people and organizations in Fiji that help the poor and the disadvantaged, and of course from communities that we have visited since this budget announcement. They have praised this government for making the welfare of disabled persons, the elderly, women and children a national priority and a national cause. Madam Speaker, our government is inclusive and pro-development, and it will continue to focus on targeting the needs of women, children and families, senior citizens and persons living with disabilities, especially those who are disadvantaged. Madam Speaker, to achieve this objective, the Fijian government will continue to support existing social protection programs which we have, such as the Poverty Benefit Scheme, the Child Protection Programs, the Social Pension Scheme, the Food Voucher Program. With the 2016 and 2017 budgetary allocations, the following social protection programs will continue. The Poverty Benefit Scheme has been allocated 23.2 million in this 2016-2017 budget. This includes the monthly social welfare allowances with monthly food vouchers for our recipients. Currently 22,793 families are benefiting from this assistance, and this scheme will also be reconfigured so that support is given to those who truly deserve and need it. Madam Speaker, our welfare graduation program complements the poverty benefit scheme. The government has increased the budget for the welfare to workfare program from $500,000 to $1 million in this year's budget. This, of course, will boost the livelihood opportunities for many families and individuals to acquire the skills and resources they need to venture into SMEs and graduate from the poverty benefit scheme. To date, we have graduated a total of 522 welfare recipients from this program, and we look forward to doing this for many more families to put them on a path towards self-sufficiency. And we believe that this will allow them to enjoy financial independent livelihoods. Madam Speaker, the government has also strengthened the social pension scheme, which has been increased by $1 million from an existing $13 million. This year's budget sees it go to $14 million in the new financial year to cater for the new age eligibility, which has been reduced to 66 years and comes into effect as of 1st of this month. Government has reformed the social pension scheme, and in this scheme, Madam Speaker, senior citizens who have never received any form of superannuation in their lives receive monthly allowance. And of course, they have expressed gratitude to the government for this compassionate nature, which honors them to age with dignity in return for the many years of hard work and sacrifice to build this nation. Currently, Madam Speaker, we have 18,632 senior citizens who are benefiting from this pension scheme, and we expect 4,000 more to benefit as the age has declined this month. The disabled and the elderly aged 60 and above will also continue to receive bus fare subsidies, which allow them the mobility that is part of the dignified life, and the budget for bus fare subsidies, Madam Speaker, is set at $150,000. 57,904 individuals continue to be assisted through this initiative, with more to be covered next year. Once again, Madam Speaker, this demonstrates our compassion for our senior citizens and our desire to make the retirement years more fulfilling. Madam Speaker, in the history of Fijian politics, this democratically elected government is the only government in the history of Fiji to place children's affairs at the top of the national agenda, with a budgetary allocation of $4.5 million. Of course, if you look at the allocation from the education sector, the allocation given to the education sector for the education of our children is in addition to that. The $1 million is for increased advocacy and community awareness on child protection programs that my ministry coordinates in partnership with UNICEF and other non-governmental organizations. Apart from awareness programs, Madam Speaker, Ministry in partnership with the Medical Services Pacific will continue to operate the 24/7 National Child Helpline, which provides a responsive platform for our children, our parents, to seek free counseling and advice. The Care and Protection Allowance Program, Madam Speaker, assists children from low-income families, single-parent families, prisoner dependents, children living with disabilities, and children under our residential care will also be funded at a substantial level. This also includes monthly allowance with a food voucher. And for this program, Madam Speaker, we have been given an increased allocation of 300,000. The total allocation stands at 3.5 million, and this will allow us to cater for 250 new recipients the next financial year. Madam Speaker, this also includes children who are cared for by family members or guardians, and children in all our residential homes, such as the Dilkusha Girls Home, Homes of Hope, Lomania Children's Home, St. Mina's Home. Madam Speaker, this budget also caters for children living with disabilities, and at the moment this funding allows 3,398 children to be assisted under this care and protection program. Madam Speaker, further on, the Juvenile Rehabilitation and Development Center is the only state-owned facility to provide an enabling and caring environment for the rehabilitative care of juvenile offenders from around the country. Since its establishment in 1932, the center has grown in the focus so that offenders continue with education and those who are technically inclined attend vocational training. There is an annual allocation of $952,883 to cover the management, operation and capital works for this facility. Madam Speaker, there are success stories to show that juvenile offenders have attained higher education and have been able to secure employment and business opportunities when leaving the center. On the same token, some of the young boys have also been able to reunite with their families on union with love, care and better understanding by parents and guardians after leaving the center. Madam Speaker, the Ministry also manages the only girls' home, known as the Pearly Girls' Home, that caters for young girls who are victims of abuse. The rehabilitation in this facility provides a safe and a secure environment for them to be educated and also seek psychosocial support. An annual allocation of $150,000 allows the Ministry to outsource the holistic care and management of this center. Madam Speaker, pregnant women in rural areas will continue to receive assistance through the food voucher program to reduce cases of malnutrition and complications during pregnancy. $500,000 has been allocated for this program, and currently we have 2,899 women who have benefited from this program. Madam Speaker, the 2016 and the 2017 budget allocates $3.4 million for the advancement of the socio-economic rights of women. This allocation will enable the Department of Women to implement Fiji's first national gender policy, which outlines the way forward in empowering our Fijian women and girls, and particularly those in rural communities, by equipping them with the skills and education and opportunities they need to participate as equal members of our society. Madam Speaker, the core principle of the gender policy is based on the conviction that empowerment of women is not a simple policy choice. Rather, it is but essential for charting a progressive pathway for sustainable development. As a minister responsible, I am sincerely committed with my team to ensure that we will reach out to women and equip them with skills and training to enable them so that they can also evolve as successful leaders, successful entrepreneurs in their homes and communities, regardless of where they are and what situation they may be in now. Madam Speaker, in recognition of the role that non-government organizations, faith-based organizations and civil society organizations play in our communities, government has allocated $150,000 to enable them to advance the interests of women and girls around the country. Madam Speaker, eradicating domestic violence and abuse against women and children remains a key priority of the Ministry and our Fijian government. We work very closely with the Fiji Police Force and other stakeholders such as the UN Women, Fiji Women's Crisis Center to fight this battle against violence. We will also work with the Fiji Police Force to reinforce strategies to implement the Domestic Violence Decree and the Child Welfare Decree. To tackle violence against women and girls, a 24-hour domestic violence helpline at a cost of $170,000 is on the way, and this will provide both emergency and non-emergency counsel and assistance to victims of such abuse. This helpline, Madam Speaker, will bring domestic violence out of the shadows and let women and girls in the society know that victims are not alone. It is a free call, Madam Speaker, and even a teenager can a 10-year-old girl can pick up the phone and get help in the protection that she or her mother or her family needs. Madam Speaker, we will continue to fund the Women's Plan of Action at $1 million and the Fiji Women's Federation at $200,000. The government through the Ministry will promote equality and equity through national and community initiatives, including the following: service delivery protocols. This funding will allow us to carry out 4 divisional consultations and national interactive sessions towards the development of the service delivery protocol on the elimination of violence against women and children. This service delivery protocol will ensure that there is a mainstreamed service for dealing with cases of gender-based violence. Of course, Madam Speaker, we will continue with our male advocacy program, and the funding for the Women's Plan of Action will also allow continuous dissemination of information on the national gender policy, and sessions will be undertaken with all ministries in this regard to ensure that gender concerns are mainstream within all government agencies. Madam Speaker, this will also allow us to implement community of practice in implementing the national gender policies and strengthening our MOU that we have with the Fiji Police Force. Madam Speaker, the Women's Plan of Action funding will also help in the development of women's human rights and gender-based violence training for our Fiji military. Fiji is a signatory to a number of international human rights instruments and has gone further to adopt the provisions and principles in the 2013 Constitution and subsequent legislation. It is therefore imperative to build and strengthen capacities within our military force of the implementing agencies that are at the forefront of human relief, for example, during times of disaster and emergency needs. Madam Speaker, the Ministry through the Department of Women is working towards training the security forces, like I said, in particular the military forces, to understand and take into account the different needs of men and women when responding to disaster mitigation, and to understand that gender-based violence is not a private matter. We are also going to work with Ministry of Health to gender mainstream training, and Madam Speaker, the Ministry has undertook a review of the Ministry of Health training manual, which contains important strategies to ensure the wider understanding of issues of gender and mainstreaming of gender into health agencies, hospitals and other facilities. And I'd like to thank the Minister for Health and the Assistant Minister for Health for partnering with us to make sure that we get this initiative rolling. Madam Speaker, in providing advisory role to the government, the Department of Women ensures the gender mainstreaming becomes a reality within all sectors of development. The Ministry not only empowers women with skills and training opportunities, but helps them develop lifelong skills and talents. And for that, the National Women's Expo has once again been given a budget of 500,000. The National Women's Expo, which was inaugurated in 2014, has grown larger and more important as years go by. It brings opportunities for rural women artisans to fine-tune their skills, which is reflected in the creativity and quality of their products and market goods, and wins them greater recognitions and more orders. Madam Speaker, for that we are thankful to the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Tourism for partnering with us with trainees. Madam Speaker, the Fiji First Government has also taken a bold step to mainstream disabilities into inclusive development to ensure that persons with disabilities are given the same opportunities that any able person gets to determine their own future. Madam Speaker, we have a budget of, probably the biggest budget allocated to persons living with disabilities stands at 1.6 million, which has been allocated to fund NGOs that support the disabled and help them operate a new joint centre in the growing Western Division. And of course, this will also enable them to buy a bus to make transportation more easy for them to and fro from the centre. Madam Speaker, service for the empowerment will be within reach through this new infrastructure that is dedicated to uplift the life of our citizens living with disability, and of course strengthen their confidence and help them realize their true potential. Madam Speaker, for this centre we are very much thankful to the Fiji Sugar Corporation for its cooperation and partnership with government to help us establish this new centre in the West. This is a major part of our efforts to begin extending services to people throughout Fiji, beginning in the West. Of course, the people in the centre already have a centre, and we look forward for the centre in the West, which will allow people to have better access to public accommodations, including footpaths, toilets and public transportation. Madam Speaker, the Ministry commends the amendment of the land transport regulations which will require public buses to provide priority boarding and seating in the first 5 seats of the disabled and elderly and expectant mothers. Madam Speaker, this clearly aligns to our Show UK initiative that we launched last year in partnership with the Fiji Bus Operators Association to nurture the values of respect and courtesy for the senior citizens.
Thank you, Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.